This is Flash Talk, the Uncut Edition. Say it just how you feel it.
No filters, no fluff, just real talk with the full Flashpoint fam. Get with it.
From hot takes to belly laughs, the crew is locked in and ready.
From debates that might get a little spicy, including all VIP members.
This is where vibes meets voice, jokes meets truth, and we talk things.
We are here to get real.
It's raw, it's real, and it's about time.
Small island, but big conversations.
This is Flash Talks, the Uncut Edition. Flash Farm. What are the things then now? Real people, real voices, real conversations.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good night, and welcome to Flash Talks, the Uncut Edition. And this is a space where we have real conversation, real opinions, and of course, uncut conversations. I am Lady Elise, and of course, joining me this evening is two wonderful gentlemen, and allow them to introduce themselves.
I'm Edgar.
And I'm Mario.
I think Mario is enjoying rolling that voice, Mario. Now, the conversation we're having this evening is about relationships. I know we know a lot about our ABCs from early life, but tonight we're talking about ABCDE of relationships. What might these letters represent? It sounds like basic stuff, right? Now, tonight we are going to dig deep because sometimes two good people get together, nice, lovely people, and then the basics are absent. There is trouble in the relationships. Now, tonight, we are going to have an uncut conversation. And so I want to welcome Edgar and Mario, and I'm sure the conversation is going to be sweet. Now, relationships can be beautiful, but sometimes they can get quite complicated. Tell me, what do you consider the hallmark of a healthy relationship?
A healthy relationship needs to have at least these three ingredients.
Yes.
Firstly, truth. Truth. One has to be true to him or herself about his needs, about his desires, about his wants. He or she has to speak the truth, communicate truthfully.
Yes.
One has to exercise trust. And in exercise trust, one needs to be first trustworthy.
I was going to ask that question.
So you not only exercise trust, but you yourself needs to be trustworthy.
Yes.
Then the third quality, third trait that is critical is being able to adhere ties or boundaries.
Ties.
Yes, ties.
Ties.
Yes.
Okay.
In a marriage, those ties are sacred, so we could refer to them as sacred ties. In other relationship, healthy boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries protect. So boundaries protect what is inside, and boundaries prevent the unwanted from the
outside.
outside.
Yes.
So those three aspects are very critical to a healthy relationship.
And Mario, what's your take on healthy relationship?
Healthy relationship is built on communication.
Yes.
No matter if it's an interpersonal relationship, romantic relationship, work colleagues, school colleagues, family members, just neighbors, we all need to be able to communicate our wants, needs, and desires. As you said, we need to be heard, we need to be understood. So once the communication is flowing, then the relationship can thrive.
Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. And I want our Flash fam to just chime in the conversation. We'd love for you to just send us your messages. Let us know your opinion. What do you think are those foundational principles to make a healthy relationship? We have been taught in school early about ABCDE of Relationships. That's the foundation. And we know our 1, 2, 3s. And from that, we do calculus and all the wonderful math equations. But do we spend time developing and learning about relationships, which are crucial, I believe, to our development? Do we spend time?
We spend a lot of time with relationships.
Yes, we do.
With relationships.
But learning?
As to the learning part, it's more of learning on the job, so to speak.
Yeah. We tend to learn our relationship experience from the places we're frequent: home,
Yes.
school, church, work. Right? So as a child growing up, the first relationship that you're going to be keen on is your parents and the family members with whom you reside. So if that is a healthy, loving environment, then we tend to develop good relationship habits. If it's not, then things will go awry.
We learn elsewhere.
Or we learn elsewhere. Okay.
And based on where the quality of that learning elsewhere, we will either choose to say, well, what is at home is not what I want, so I will seek for the better, or we will accept what is at home or see what is at home as a norm and then carry the negative traits with us into our other relationships, which is
That could be
regrettable.
bad. Yes, that could be bad.
No, when we're having a conversation, I started to reflect about what we see in the news and social media as it relates to relationships. And if you look at Hollywood, there will be multiple relationships. A lot of the more the superstars will have, and that example, I think, is being transmitted. Now, there's a one word I noticed was missing from the answer that you gave me just now. And that word is love. Right? And I want to ask you, in a romantic relationship, is love enough? I hear about communication and trust, but what if you have love? Is it enough if you don't have that communication, that truth and trust that you mentioned? How does that,
Love itself needs definition, and practically the attributes that we mentioned are in action.
Yes.
So that clear communication is love in action. Being truthful, being true to yourself and being true to the other person and being true to what it is that you want to establish.
Yes.
Is love in action. Being trustworthy and exercising trust in the other person is love in action. And being willing to create those ties, those boundaries, adhere to them is love in action.
And what are your thoughts, Mario, in real life?
I absolutely agree with that, Joe. But is love enough? No, I don't think so. There are many things that we love, but of course, these things could be not good for us,
Yes.
and they could cause us harm.
Yes.
You know, love. I love a long hot shower, but that can cause me to get all shriveled and pruned, and that's not necessarily good for me. I also love to be out in the sun, but that will cause me sunburn, and that's not good for me. So love in itself is good. It's the basis on which most relationships, romantic relationships, are based, or hopefully, it's the basis on which a romantic relationship is based. Mackie G will tell you about arranged marriages and how wonderful they are and how well they work in the past. But love alone is not enough. We need so much more than love to build, nurture, and maintain the relationship. Love is simply not enough.
Please, as you mentioned, romantic relationships. I remember seeing, I remember hearing this comment many years ago. I was in university at the time.
Yes.
Very, very young adult, barely.
Green. Yes.
Fish and a bird can fall in love, but where will they build their nest?
In the sea or in the tree.
So the thing is, love is not enough.
Yes.
And no matter how much amount of love there is, if there are not other foundational attributes to that relationship that will build that relationship, much love, it won't last.
All right. So we're sitting here tonight, and this is the Uncut Edition. Why do you think relationships are important? Why do you think it's an important conversation to have? We are different stages of life, or viewers. Some are single, some are married, some will never, be married, choose a single life. But what is the importance of relationship, do you think?
But we're social beings. We're social creatures. We were made for relationships.
Absolutely.
We cannot exist.
Yeah,
we cannot be healthy.
We don't function well alone.
Exactly. We could not function without relationships.
Yeah. The most exciting times you want to share with somebody. If you get some hot, juicy gossip, you want to find your gossip buddy and share it with.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
If something great has happened, you've gotten a promotion, you're trying to lose weight and you stepped on the scale and you're 10 pounds lighter, you reach for the phone, you need to call somebody.
Yes.
We are communal beings. Yes. We want to be with other beings and we want to share our experiences, our joys, our frustrations. And to be put it short, we don't want to be lonely.
Well, we are all at different stages in life, right? And I know you weren't born big, right? And, when you were, say, in your career, in the peak of your career, did you have this goal for a relationship? I just see myself, being married at 20, having 4 kids at 50, and just, is that the ideal that's being portrayed now?
I laugh because I remember this particular high school perform accounts class, and I may have been distracted a bit in thought.
Like how you put these things. A little bit distracted in thought. You're not paying attention. Okay, yes.
And yeah, I can see at the time. Ask me, Edgar, what you thinking about wife and kids?
Oh, oh my gosh. What are you thinking about the wife and kids?
It was fifth form at the time, so I would not have met Kashina. So if I was thinking about wife and kids, it was not a big.
Fictitious. You were forecasting or planning for the future.
You know, I will be later on in the conversation asking you to share one thing that impacted your life up until this point that you could advise someone who is not yet at this point about relationship. But before we get to that question, what is one thing about relationship that people underestimate in your estimation? What is one thing that you think that people underestimate when they're entering a relationship?
Expectations.
Yeah.
Expectations. I don't think sometimes it's spoken about enough, or the expectations that people have for a new relationship are not expressed in entirety. And that's how we end up disappointed because we expect certain things, you expect that, Edgar is a man, so he's going to want to get up and change all the light bulbs and take out the trash and wash the car and all of these things. But Edgar doesn't like to wash the car, so he prefers to call the car wash guy to come over and wash it. And in his opinion, he gets a better job done when they come with their professional equipment and they have the wash, they have the polish, they have the shine, they have the this, they have that, and he feels comfortable paying for that wash. But then, the expectation was that he was going to be outside there in the hot sun, stretching and doing that and getting wet and carrying on, and the wife was going to be able to wash him out there and say, "That's my man." But instead, he's inside writing some song lyrics and not washing the car. There's somebody else outside there washing the car. Expectations can lead to disappointment. So I think one of the things we should, impart at the onset, what are my expectations for this relationship? And in that way, we know either we're not going to get it and we need to make some compromises, or this is what we're going to get and this is what I need, so let's push forward.
Edgar, your thoughts?
I'm reflecting on a statement a friend of mine mentioned many years ago.
Yes.
He said that people should bother.
Bother.
Have you heard it being said very often? It's bother. It's bother. Just think about those many times in your life looking back when if you had only
bothered,
the decision that you would have made, the choices you would have made. And very often persons are not living their best life because they did not bother to make the call.
Mm-hmm.
They did not bother to write a letter. They did not bother to answer the call.
Yes.
They did not bother to initiate that conversation.
Yes.
They did not bother to give a relationship a try.
Yes.
But just to have a conversation. So many persons would have had different lives if they had just bothered.
If that is so profound, if they're just bothered. What are your thoughts, viewers and listeners? We're talking about ABCD. Now I know my ABC. Tell me what you think of me. And I'm hoping that this discussion, because we're keeping it real and we're keeping it uncut, right? Because we all have engaged in relationships, and we mentioned the amount of relationships that we have engaged, even though we're focusing on the romantic relationship, we can still take pearls of wisdom when we are engaged in relationships. We're talking about trust and love and care and bothering. So important in establishing good relationship. Now, the next question, and this is before we go to a break, and I'm just going to let you just simmer, just sit and just think about the questions until we come back. But I want to ask you, do you think people spend a lot of time looking for the right person instead of becoming the right person? What are your thoughts? After the break, we'll have more of this. Remember, it's Flash Talks, and this is the Uncut Edition.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Hey, welcome back to Flash Talk, the Uncut Edition. Tonight we are keeping it real. And of course, the conversation, the question is, do we spend, or some of us, do we spend too much time looking for the right person instead of becoming the right person? Now, I know you were single at one point. Were you trying to become the right person, or were you looking for the right person?
For me, I think I spent a little time trying to be the best me I could be. And I remember having a few relationships along the way, and some of them didn't work out. Some, fizzled away. Some of them ended abruptly. But when I got to the stage where I said, okay, it's time to get married, I believe at the time that I was a capable partner who could bring peace, stability, and good joy to a wife, and that was my mindset in getting married. So I think I tried to become a whole person before trying to drag somebody on my bandwagon. That's that's my thought.
There needs to
Thank you.
There needs to be a healthy balance
Yes.
between being the right person and searching for the right person.
Yes.
Because in my case, I wanted to find that right person who would bring out the best in me. So it was not just about being the right person, but finding that person who is going to bring out the best in me. And here I may be a bit biased in that I started from very early. In that my wife and I were both kids when we started dating. She was barely out of college. Well, she had just started college. I was still in high school. But prior to that time, I had identified qualities in other females that I did not want to join myself with. And I had identified relationships that I did not want. However, I think it was important for me to be the best version of myself, as Mara said, but at the same time, finding someone who would be in bringing out the best in me and also would have been the best among the lot.
And that is important. And this leads me to now think about that word that I hear people talk about, emotional maturity. And I've heard the conversation, men versus women. Now, you sound quite mature thinking about all these things, because most times, in my estimation, you would have entered a relationship, then you're discovering yourself, and then you realize that's not what I want to, after having gone in the relationship. But you're now speaking mature, that emotional maturity. How important is that emotional maturity when entering relationships? Because we don't think we just like each other, and it doesn't really. Yeah.
No, it is critical.
Yes.
And very often we dissect or compartmentalize
Yes.
maturity and even health. We speak about emotional health versus mental health.
Yes.
And physical health.
Right.
But maturity is maturity.
Yeah.
You should be emotionally mature. You should be physically mature. You should be mentally mature. You should be holistically mature when entering or when deciding to have a relationship.
Yes.
And maturity is influenced or impacted by our environment, whether it be the home, whether it be the school, whether it be church. In my case, the influence of my parents, the influence of my aunts and uncles, the influence of church, Sabbath school, AY camps, church camps, camp meetings. Those environments played a critical role in my growth and development.
Yes.
And my school as well.
Yes.
My classmates, my teachers played a critical role. And I wanted to make the best use of all the environments so that I would be able to charter the best course in life.
A very interesting conversation, emotional maturity. Your thoughts, Mario? How important is this maturity?
It's very important, but I want to also say it should depend on the stage of life that you're in as well. Edgar mentioned that he and his wife started courting when they were both very young. I met my wife in my 30s. So one would hope that I was much more mature at that point than maybe when Edgar and his wife had started. And I think at that young age, still in high school, still in just starting college, you give yourself grace in the relationship to learn as you grow. But as a 30-year-old adult,
yes,
you are expected to know yourself and have established yourself in some ways. And that emotional maturity, that spiritual maturity, that financial maturity should already be there, because you are meeting someone in your 30s. You don't expect this person, you have to be teaching them how to manage money, how to take care of a home, that kind of thing. If you've been alone all this time, you should now have mastered some of these things, right? If you're getting together at 22, 23, 21 kind of thing.
Have to
You
learn
expect
together.
that you're going to be learning together.
Yeah.
You are probably going to get into your first home together at that tender age. You're going to be getting into your first jobs and learning, financial management at that time. But if you happen across somebody in their 30s, you better know what you're about already, So I think it does matter at the stage in life which you are. And, some people, as Ellie said, they are going to be at different stages. They're single, they're married, they might be divorced, they might be permanently single by choice. And it depends on where you are and what stage you're at and what is expected of you at that stage. At 30-year-old, there are things that are expected that would not be expected of a 21-year-old. So is it important? Yes, it is. And it should be something that is learned, whether you're in a relationship at a time or trying to get into one or even getting out of one. You're expected to have developed a certain emotional acumen that will make you, a reasonable person.
But going back to the comment that Mary made several minutes ago with
Yes.
regards to expectations, we still have to be careful, ensure there's a healthy balance there again.
Yes.
Because if you get to a stage in life and you do not have attributes, for example, you may be too hard on yourself and may not necessarily give yourself the grace you need to give yourself. And sometimes grace, we receive grace from others, but we hardly ever want to give ourselves
Grace.
Yeah.
grace. And be a serious obsessive that can be a barrier to entering or building a healthy relationship when we consider our life's journey and look at what we have accomplished or what we have acquired, including probably emotional maturity. We may think ourselves immature in certain respects, and because of that, it acts as a barrier to forming healthy relationships. So that's one of the things we need to consider.
It's all about ABCDE. What are the basics of a healthy relationship? That's the conversation here tonight on Flash Talks. Now, I want to begin with the ABCs, right? I'm gonna be throwing some words. And I want our viewers as well to weigh in on the conversation. First, let's begin with A. Awareness. Before I can understand you, surely I need to understand me, right? My strengths, my weaknesses, my triggers, my expectations, my values, and even the baggage I may be carrying. Now, Mario, can someone who doesn't really know themselves, right, build a healthy relationship with someone else?
It may be possible if that person is very patient, very understanding, and willing to help you unlock that better you, right? But if you are unaware of all the things that you are bringing to this relationship, you might be setting a trap for that person. You don't know that you're triggered by someone sneezing into their shirt, which, if you're a germaphobe, they'll be like, how could you do that? Get a pant towel and sneeze into it and toss it away immediately. You're going to sneeze into that shirt. Keep that shirt on for the rest of the day. Many little things that we need to be aware of. Okay, this is going to be a deal breaker for me.
Yes.
Or this is not something that I can compromise on. Or this is something that I will compromise on.
Yes.
Or I've never seen that before, but I like it, kind of thing. So we do need some awareness. And if there are things that really, give us the ick, as the kids say these days, and we're not aware that it exists and we meet it, all of a sudden, it could be explosive.
Yes.
So Do we need to be aware of all of our little quirks? It would help a lot. It would help a lot. And it also gives us an idea of how much grace we need to give the other person. If I know that I have this much baggage, then I know I need to at least allow that much grace to manage all of my little quirks and my little issues. Yeah, so I need to be aware of what I am bringing to the relationship and giving this other person to deal with.
So, coming on from that conversation, Edgar, I'm gonna ask you to just tie this into this self-awareness. How can unresolved experiences from previous relationships affect a new relationship? And it's all about self-awareness.
It can definitely impact it in a very marked way. And here's where we go a little beyond self-awareness, or we expand the whole notion of self-awareness, because of self-awareness, one has to be true to him or herself.
Yes.
And being true to yourself, you're honest with yourself, because you know yourself, you know the things about yourself. And being honest with yourself, you have to be honest with the other person.
Yes.
And here is where clear communication is critical.
Yes.
Because if you know the things about yourself, you know the things about your past, and you're honest with yourself, if you want a particular relationship to work, if you want that relationship to be healthy, there is some amount of disclosure, some amount of clarity that is going to be necessary in order to have a healthy relationship.
Yes.
And sometimes we shy away from opening up about some past experiences that impact our current behavior, or they may be events or circumstances from the past that inhibit us in many ways in our current relationships. And if we're not aware, if we're not truthful,
yes,
if we're not honest about them to clearly communicate them, then we're going to add challenges in the relationship.
True. Now, I want to ask you, Mario, do you think someone can unknowingly sabotage a good relationship?
Absolutely.
How so?
Absolutely. And picking up where I started off earlier, saying that I tried to be, the best version of me. By me trying to be the best version of me in my eyes, and trying to a relationship with someone who might not need that version of me, might need a different version of me. If I am headstrong and sticking to my guns, saying, I'm absolutely certain that this is the best I can be, and I'm sticking to this and I'm not changing, it could possibly sabotage a perfectly good relationship, possibly a great relationship, by being uncompromising in something that really matters, doesn't here or there.
Yes.
And sometimes we do it based on genuine need to, be heard or seen, or recognized for something that we think we have achieved that is so great.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just something very casual that we didn't consider, and we just can't bother.
And I believe we don't have a conversation about even knowing ourselves. Life can get so busy that you don't even know what you like and don't like anymore. You are just busy going along, and then suddenly you are, if you don't be deliberate in the steps you make in a relationship. You just end up in a relationship without even knowing what are your likes, what are your weaknesses, how has this experience affected me, and why I think or behave or react in this way. So let's move on to B. What is B? You mentioned that word, boundaries. Now, this one can cause lots of trouble because sometimes when you establish a boundary, somebody interprets it as rejection. Now, Edgar, you mentioned the word boundary when we started. How important, we're talking about relationships and we're talking about, boundaries sound so confined, you know,
Boundaries are important because what boundaries do, boundaries protect. So boundaries protect what is on the inside from negative outside influences. But boundaries also, while you're protecting what is inside, you're also preventing what is outside to come in. And here is where there needs to be clear communication again, so that the boundaries are healthy boundaries that will protect the relationship to assist both of you to grow.
Yes.
It will also preserve your happiness.
Yes.
And here again, it is important that we give ourselves
some grace.
Grace. And in addition to that, a part of setting healthy boundaries, will involve being able to resolve conflicts, because conflicts in a relationship are inevitable. You will have conflicts in a relationship.
Yes.
And very often, those conflicts will be as a result of a perceived threat to a boundary. Somebody overstepping, somebody pushing the boundaries, and they may come across as sometimes impeding the other's personal space or disrespecting the person's boundaries, or in whatever form you will have conflicts in a relationship. And that awareness that when you have relationships, there are going to be conflicts to begin with is very important.
Yes.
So managing those conflicts and being able to deal with those conflicts in a healthy manner is very, very, very critical.
I think we needed this ABC conversation. It's so important and informative. Now, I have a spicy one for you. So your spouse says, if you have nothing to hide, give me your phone and the password. Or healthy transparency, or is it a bad thing?
Mary's the tech person.
Healthy transparency, or is it a bad thing?
It's a very individual thing. I know some couples do that and some don't for different reasons, depending on the nature of the person's occupation. If the phone has information on it that should not be handled loosely, if you think of an accountant who's handling people's financial information, that kind of thing, you want to
boundaries.
Yeah, able to set those boundaries. Now, the question is a matter of trust. Do you trust your partner enough to have a cell phone that you don't need to be peering into it? Do you trust your partner to have a conversation with someone that you are not privy to when, for whatever reason, you are not physically present? You just don't know this person, or maybe you don't really like that person, but you seem to get along with your partner for some reason. Are you trusting enough to know that whatever transpires between your partner and this person gonna be something that is gonna respect your relationship boundary, not violate the trust between you two? That is the question. Are you in a position to trust your partner without having access? Yeah.
Interesting point. I endorse the points that were raised, but kind of along with that add though, I've always maintained before we got married that marriage is a matter of consensus.
Yeah.
It's a matter of consensus. However, if there's that trust, there should not be a requirement or a mandate or a command that you need to know my password or you need to demand my phone. And it goes both ways.
What is mine is yours and yours is mine.
No,
Not necessarily.
It goes both ways. On the other hand, though, I endorse the position that if perchance you're needed or perchance you need to have access to the phone, given the trust relationship, given the love relationship between us, should not necessarily be a problem.
Uh-huh.
So it's not so much about the phone and protecting the information on the phone or the messages, etc. But it is what obtains in the relationship itself, and that's the deeper and broader issue. So those matters now become secondary to the real love, trustful relationship. All those matters are dealt with stem from what is happening at the heart of that relationship.
So, viewers, what are your thoughts? Password, yes or no? Drop it in the chat. We'd love to hear.
One question I always wanted to know, I've been curious as to what other people think. In a relationship, what is your opinion on your partner having a friendship where they discuss their entire life? Your wife having a best friend who she will tell everything and anything, or your
including our affairs.
Yes.
Well, if she's involved,
that should not happen. There should be boundaries. There should be sacred ties where certain stuff are not. Well, certain stuff within the relationship are not discussed outside of that relationship. It should be so.
There's something that you're doing that is stressing her out, big world without end, and she just needs to vent to her girlfriend.
Well, allowance will. It would be advisable for allowance to be made for such items, because now it becomes a matter of her health and well-being. So we could get to the point where.
Well, that too could be a matter of perspective.
It could challenge her existence, her life. So in that case, find a trusted friend. Yeah, I'd rather have her than lose her.
You know, it's so interesting that you asked that question, because I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and she how important it is to have that someone to have that conversation with. But I do believe, as Edgar says, that there are some aspects of a relationship that should be Yes. That should be locked. And this leads us to the C. We are moving along. We are dealing with the ABC. C is a big one, and it follows up with this conversation because it's communication, which you mentioned earlier. Now, everybody says communication is important, but Edgar, here's my question. Are people actually communicating, or are we simply waiting for our turn to speak? Your thoughts?
Well, it depends. It depends. I find that many persons say that I'm a very good listener. Probably this is as a result of my profession. I spent most of my professional life in auditing, so I listen a lot, and I listen to what is said and what is not said, and I remember what is said, especially talking to women. Women, women say many things, and sometimes I remember they say.
Oh boy.
Okay, this is an interesting conversation. So the question then is silent treatment acceptable? Then I mean, it's a woman says, you've heard about the silent treatment. Yes. Is it unacceptable?
No, communication is a two-way process.
Yeah, well, maybe they don't want to have a quarrel, so one person stays.
Well, we have to look at that in context as well.
Yes.
And here is where very often, especially females, have indicated to me in the past that I don't do very well quarreling because I do not necessarily match the energy. So they may want to have a quarrel, they may want to cuss me out, but because I'm calm and cool and collective, I don't match that energy. But it is not silent treatment. But there needs to be a time when you can appreciate what is being said and listen.
Yes.
And not try to defend, not try to counter the arguments. And sometimes your partner don't necessarily want you to counter the argument. They want you to hear her out.
Yes.
And that is also critical, because if you're not willing to hear her out, then you're not willing to understand her perspective. Right. And she may feel offended because you cannot appreciate where she's coming from.
Yes.
So that too is very critical. But the silent treatment as to try to avoid her and make her feel less important, that's a no-no. But there needs to be healthy management of conflict or conflicting situations.
I've heard the comment about sticks and stones may broke my can't break my bone. How is it?
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. To that effect.
Is that true?
Words are the most powerful things on this planet, because words that form the planet. So that indicates the extent to which words are powerful.
Words
can cut to the heart. Words can damage. Many people are damaged because of stuff that were said to them oftentimes in their childhood. They will never ever 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 forget that.
Yes.
And that live with them. So words are powerful. Never underestimate the power of words. So that is why we have to guard well what we say, what we implant in the minds of others. And not just what we say, but how we say it and how we make the other person feel when we say it.
There you have it. Sometimes we say, that's just how I talk. But if the way I communicate continually hurts the person I'm supposed to love, shouldn't I be willing to adjust? Sure. Now we're going to move on to dedication. We're winding down. We're just going to ABCDE, dedication. Now, this is where things get interesting because relationships are easy to celebrate when everything is going well, but dedication is often tested when things become difficult. So, Mario, what does commitment really mean in today's relationship culture?
Commitment is about sticking to it. If you have a goal, if you have a plan, if you have an aspiration, you want to see it through to the end. You want to make sure you achieve that goal. You want to make sure you get to that destination. Relationships are such that we we need to commit and constantly put work into
Yes.
that relationship work. And I think it takes a lot out of us sometimes to rededicate daily. You know, it's I remember hearing some long time ago somewhere, I don't remember where, that for a successful relationship, a marriage, you need to choose your spouse every day. You need to get up and decide that today I'm going to love this person again. Or I'm going to love this person in spite of
Yes.
what happened, you know,
Yes.
or whatever was said to me last night,
Yes.
or, you know, all of these other things that could happen. And it takes that repeated commitment over and over again.
Yes.
That dedication to doing the same thing every day. And you know, it's funny, I was talking to someone and they said a woman will change at different stages in her life. So if you marry someone at 20, when she's 30, she's going to be somebody different. After she has children, she becomes somebody completely different. If she has 3 children, she's a different mother to all 3 of them. And when they're older and grown, she's going to be a different wife. You know, so you have to learn to love each and every stage, each and every metamorphosis of her as you go along. And if you're not dedicated to her, then that is going to be very difficult.
Wow. Very profound. So, in today's culture, then, are people leaving relationships quickly, too quickly? I noticed you smile. You smile on the. Or are people staying too long?
Back to the point that Myra made about the woman changing.
Yes.
We all change. We both change, but the woman change more. Uh, well, physiologically, you're natural scientist. For a woman, she has a clock. So after a particular time, she will not be able to have kids. So that's an example per se. But the key thing here is to be able to stick together throughout the changing scenes of time or life, because life changes, life scenes change, and we ourselves change. So in the past, you'd have heard that it change or she change as a bad thing, but it's change is inevitable.
Yes, change is the only constant.
Exactly. So before I answer the question specifically, here are 2 other things I wanted to say. In the ideal world, for a committed relationship, when you get married, both of you should really burn your bridges. there should not be any other option. Problems are more likely when you hide somewhere in the back of your mind or at the bottom of your heart or in a corner somewhere in your body.
In a little nook,
Yes.
a little nook and cranny.
that I have another option
Yes.
or that I have an option.
Mhm.
There are
Yes.
no options. And you, in your mind, you're my only option.
Yes.
In your mind, I'm going to make this work.
Yes.
So when all is said and done, I'm still yours, you're still mine. We're working on this because there's no other.
Mhm.
Right.
So that awareness, that honesty, that truth
Yes.
is brought to
Mm-hmm.
managing the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of whether relationships are ending too quickly or we have to go back to the beginning of those relationships
Mm-hmm.
and in our selecting of the partners. And here is where we need to spend, well, in speaking to those who are yet to enter relationships, here's where you need to spend most of the work in the due diligence stage where you choose your lifetime partner. Because if you get it right the first time, when you take advantage of that particular moment in your life. So when you get it right that time, then it is less challenging for the years to come. But if you get it right, if you get it wrong at that time, then you have a lifetime of misery and you're risking hell. So it's very important that we know when to abandon a friendship or exit a relationship that we know from the very start will not deal for our entire life. Many people, for whatever reason, whether they invested too much money for or whether they invested too much in their appearance, continue with that decision, even at the altar when they know married to the one they love, and this they still go through with that relationship and end up divorcing or going apart within a year later.
Mhm.
So the time to make the hard choices and the hard decisions is usually at the very start, instead of waiting until you have decided to, become man and wife.
Very important. We must consider, and it takes a level of awareness and all of that we have mentioned so far. So I hope that you have been enjoying the conversation, and not only enjoying, but just letting it sit in a place and having some thoughtfulness as to where you are at in life, in your relationships, whether they are romantic relationships, and what you need to build and where you need to set those boundaries. Now we are winding down, we are down to the final letter, but before we go to that final, we're going to take our final break, and then we're going to talk about the E in the ABCDE of healthy relationship. Please join us after this short break when we continue the conversation.
Need help to produce your podcast? Flashpoint Media makes it very easy. We can relieve you of the headache by recording your podcast for you. So, take the first step to getting your content to your desired audience. Contact us here at Flashpoint and your podcast will be live in no time. Our website is www.flashpointmedia.ky or call us at 345-321-6969. That's 345-321-6969.
welcome back to the Uncut Edition of a Flashpoint. And now I know you have been enjoying the conversation, and we have really been keeping it real. There are some boundaries and fences and things to protect and all these things. What about searching a phone? That's like natural. Well, we had a conversation about that. Now we're on the final letter this evening. We're talking about expectation. And I know Mario brought that up earlier. And this might be quietly one of the biggest relationship killers. Sometimes we're angry with someone because they didn't meet an expectation. We never actually communicated to them. You know, I didn't tell you. And now I will ask Mario, since you spoke about expectations earlier, how important is it for couples to discuss expectations before becoming seriously committed?
I think it's very critical to discuss the expectations. Um, Simply because before you become seriously committed, you now need to be laying the foundation of your relationship. And let's be reasonable. This relationship you're thinking of is evolving into marriage, family, children, generations to come. You want to put down roots and you want to build a healthy, loving home. You want to be the beacon of light that someone looks on and says, I want to be like this person when I grow up. So you have to make all your expectations be known. Realistically, you should put all your cards on the table. This is what I've got. This is what I want. This is how I expect that we can interact and build this thing together. And can we work this or can we not work this? It's the kind of thing that you want to get into if you're going into a legal arrangement with somebody. um, you get your contract laid out and you look at all the different clauses and you agree to it or not. Relationships should be the very same way, not necessarily in a very legalistic point of view, but you need to be able to sit down and lay your expectations out and see if these are things that you can work with. Um, your expectation might be you might be courting someone in your early 20s, and their expectation is, well, I need to have my own house by 30. And you are thinking, well, I was thinking of maybe working another 12 years before I start to save for the house and that kind of thing. And your partner is saying, no, I'm 22, 23, in the next 7 years, I expect that I will be in my own home. And I would like to, start having children, or, by the time we get to that house, I expect to have one child already. All of these little things, it might not be what the other partner wants, but they may be able to evaluate and say, well, if we don't travel 3 times a year, and if we don't buy that brand new car with a high car note, maybe we can pool funds and get this first home by 30. So it builds a proper framework for you to get moving on, for you to start that journey that you're going to take together, that you should be going shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, enjoying each step of the way and building this life together. So those expectations are paramount to making sure the relationship is built on truth and trust. Yeah.
Very important. And Edgar, I will throw this one at you as well. Social media gives us access to everybody else's life, how they're living, right? The vacations, the flowers, the anniversary surprises, the matching outfits, the beautiful homes. Can social media create unrealistic expectations? Because you already know that your spouse is not the greatest romantic. So you don't get no roses or none of these wonderful things. No. Do people sometimes destroy something good because they are comparing it with something that only looks better than theirs?
Yes, sometimes there's always that risk that I'm going to be comparing myself with something else instead of looking at what I have or valuing what I have. Now, Mara spoke to the notion of expectations that they need to be reasonable, they
Yes.
need to be real, they need to be expressed.
Right.
Because
They need to be expressed.
They need to be expressed because many persons come to relationship or come to a marriage with expectations,
Yes.
but never talked about those expectations
Yes.
with their partner.
Mhm.
So they need to be expressed.
Yes.
And not only expressed, they need to be expressed and understood.
Yes.
And not only understood, but the critical ones need to be agreed.
Yes.
And not only agreed, but that agreement needs to follow through to the actions. Because
Yes.
if you come to a relationship, exactly, if you come to a relationship with the agreed expectation that they're going to be kids,
Yes.
but then when the time comes for kids, you change your mind. Or if there was an expectation that there will be no kids, but when the maternal or paternal instinct set in, then you're asking for kids, then that's going to be a source of conflict in the relationship.
Yes.
So those expectations are very critical, and how you manage those expectations
Yes.
Is also important.
Yeah.
Social media gives a false impression, a distorted view of how expectations should be dealt with.
Mhm.
Again, we have to go back to the trust, the truth, the honesty, and the whole notion that a relationship, a marriage, a friendship is a consensus, is what you two agree on.
Yes, very important. Thank you for that. And now we are on to the rapid fire question. Mario, should I put you in the hot seat first? Sitting in the seat. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And it's going to be red flag or not necessary. Okay, are we ready? Okay. Still talking regularly to an ex.
It depends on the
red flag.
That one is up in the air. Are they working together? What is it? Is that ex? I'd rather not. I'd rather not.
All right. Doesn't want you touching their phone.
Again, why is it? Because you have, company secrets, but why do I need to see your phone anyway? Again, it could be either way for me.
Never apologizes first.
Red flag.
Their mother knows everything about your relationship.
I probably wouldn't find that one.
All right, let's go over to you, Edgar. Post everything about their relationship on social media.
Red flag.
Never post you at all.
It depends on the person. I know for sure that that Kashina is not one to post on Facebook. She'll post on her status some things, but she's not a Facebook person, so I wouldn't be offended by that at all.
Okay. Has no close friends?
That's a red flag.
Oh.
Yeah.
All of their exes were supposedly crazy.
Birds of a feather flock together.
So I guess that's a red flag. Checks your location constantly.
Trust issue.
Goes silent whenever they are upset.
Not necessarily. That could be a means of managing conflict.
Okay. Wants to know where you are at all times.
Not necessarily a red flag. It could be expressing concern, and accountability and clarity and being wanting to be in constant communication. So hence the response, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Says this is just who I am. Take it or leave it.
Well, leave it.
There's no compromise in that statement.
Yes, just
Yeah.
All right. The ABCDE check. So let's put it all together. If someone is listening tonight and assessing their own relationships, perhaps you should ask awareness. Do I understand myself and the person I'm with? B. Boundaries. Have we established healthy limits and mutual respect? C. Communication. Can we talk honestly, listen, and disagree? That's disagree respectfully. And D. Dedication. Are both of us committed to doing the work? And E, expectation. Have we clearly discussed what we expect from each other and from the relationship? Now, Edgar, Mario, which of these five do you think causes the most problems in relationships today? And which one do you believe is the most important?
Well, for me, I opened with the communication.
Yes.
That to me is most important in any relationship, especially in a romantic relationship. I believe the expectations are the biggest downfall in the relationship. Expectations not expressed, expectations not met will lead to a breakdown in dedication, will it will tear it apart. I believe the expectations failing is game over.
Edgar?
the awareness is critical, to that own self be true. And if you can't be true to yourself to begin with, you can't be true to anybody else.
Yes.
And you can have a truthful relationship.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mario, what would you say to someone who recognizes tonight that they have some work to do personally?
As Edgar just said, be true to yourself. Self introspection is very often difficult because a lot of the time, how we form our habits is based on our environment, what we did to cope, while we were learning, and we don't see what's wrong with them. It's difficult to look from outside at what we're doing and say, okay, well, I understand why that might not be appreciated. To the people who like to withdraw and sit in a corner and not talk. It's difficult for someone to understand where you are and what's going on with you if you're not saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it may be your coping mechanism to withdraw, self-evaluate, calm down, take a beat, and be prepared to now have some dialogue on the situation. But it's important that there be some kind of compromise on both sides. If you recognize that your partner needs to withdraw for a few minutes, don't push. Give them space to withdraw and reevaluate, that beat and come back to you. If you can see that there must be something with you that you can take a look back and say, okay, should I not keep pressing when I see them withdraw? Should I just take a minute myself and allow them to come back to me? It's difficult, yes, but I believe it's something that we can all do. If we have to take a journal Make notes of the things we do, the things we say, and give it a week, read that back and say, is this the working of a rational mind? Was I a little too hasty to say this? Somebody left a dish in the sink and ran off to the bathroom, and maybe half an hour later it's still there. Did I really need to blow up and start shouting as to why there's one single solitary dirty dish in the sink? Could I have handled it differently? Could I have just washed the dish and not be a screaming maniac for 10 minutes about this?
Yes.
If you need to make notes and
Yes.
review these notes, early in my life, I did a little computer programming. And one of the things you do as a programmer is you plot what you want to achieve. You write down the steps that you're going to take to achieve it. You actually do the program and you review to make sure this is the most optimized way of doing it. So get a notebook. Do like Mikey G is always writing. Make some notes, make some scribbles, but don't scribble them down and then park them over there. Go back to them, look at them, and say, okay, so last week this happened, and I was loud and shouty for 10 minutes, and that didn't achieve anything. All right, this is current situation is happening today. Let's not be loud and shouty for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Let's try and be quiet and see what happens.
Yes.
You may find the person opens up after 2 minutes, because you're not shouting. So, yeah, self-evaluation is key. And there are different ways to do it. You got to figure out how best works for you.
Yeah, Edgar?
I embrace the notion that the best is yet to come.
Yes.
I'm a lifetime learner. So my today is better than my yesterday. And based on my experiences today, my tomorrow is going to be better than today. There are many things I will learn and unlearn. And I'm always criticizing myself. So I'm on the path of continuous improvement, continuous growth. And when it comes to relationship, that means growth for both of us. That means growth for the family. That means growth for the persons I work with, the environment that I'm in. It should be improving on a daily basis.
Yes.
We don't have it all together. We are still living on earth, not heaven. We are still mortals and not angels. So there needs to be that level of grace, but within the context of growing and getting better every day.
There you have it. The best is yet to come. You have been listening to Flash Talks, and this has been the Uncut Edition. I want to thank Edgar and Mario for keeping this conversation moving and keeping it real. And to everyone who has joined us this evening and have commented, we say thank you for being a part of Flash Talks. Remember, relationships don't become healthy simply because two people love each other. They require awareness, boundaries, communication, dedication, and realistic expectations. And maybe tonight's conversation isn't just about finding the right person. Maybe it also is about asking, am I becoming the kind of person capable of building a relationship I really want? Think about it. I'm Lady Elise, and of course, this has been Flash Talks, the Uncut Edition. Until next time, see you same time, same site, see you same place, same time, right here on Flashpoint Media.
This is Flash Talk, the Uncut Edition. Say it just how you feel it.
No filters, no fluff, just real talk with the full Flashpoint fam. Get with it.
From hot takes to belly laughs, The crew is locked in and ready.
From debates that might get a little spicy, including all VIP members.
This is where vibes meets voice, jokes meets truth, and we talk things.
We are here to get real.
It's raw. It's real. And it's about time.
Small island, but big conversations.
This is Flash Talks, the Uncut Edition. Flash Farm. What are the things then now? Real people, real voices, real conversations.
Flash Talk, the Uncut Edition, at 7 p.m.